My name is Jimmie. I'm from Minto. I was born in the winter camp, February 25th, 1935.
My name is Barbara Titus Jimmie. I'm from Minto. I was born February 15th, 1941. I remember, used to play in the woods, climb trees, and create our own ways to play. We didn't have, toys from the store. And, our moms used to make dolls for us. Growing up in Old Minto, it's home, so I just enjoyed being there.
My grandma was Susie Williams, and then she later married, we just call him Grandpa Chief. He's originally from Nenana, came down to Minto, and they were old, but I spent a lot of time with them in camps, winter camp, spring camp, fish camp, and where I can carry wood for them or water. And spring camp was probably the best. The weather was nice, and my mother used to have her own trap line, and we'd go with her dog team, and I think that I enjoyed that probably the most. Fish camp, we didn't care too much for it because we had to carry fish from the canoe to the fish table all day long. But my brother and my sister, we loved it out there. And my grandma, she'd tell a lot of stories, and then in the stories she'd have advice all the time. Always advice. She always told us, always treat people like you want to be treated. That's what I learned from her. Yeah.
I went to school in Old Minto. I was just out playing around, and airplane landed for me, and they took me to the hospital, and I had what they call a rheumatic fever and a heart murmur. I spent a lot of time in Tana Hospital and Juneau, St. Anne's Hospital in Juneau, and St. Joseph's Hospital here in Fairbanks. As a bed patient, all by myself, so far away from home. I was so lonesome for my mom and my younger brother. I had visual problems. It was quite an experience for me because I was very, very young, and went to school in Tana for a while, and after that, I ended up staying home, and staying home.
While we were going to school, my dad went to hospital. He had tuberculosis. It was pretty tough. On weekends, my brother and I used to go down and cut wood for people and carry water or whatever they have to do, the elders. And then they give us quarter or 50 cents, make little money to survive. So we learned that from our mom, to work all the time, and nothing comes easy, And we would go out Friday night trapping and go up Chattanooga and stay there till Sunday and go back and go to school all winter long.
And then I went to boarding school. We went to Wrangell. And then after Wrangell, I went to Mount Edgecombe.
My mom and dad was out moose hunting, September. plane land and says, "Come for Andy Jimmie. Going to Edgecombe." Sister cried a little bit, I remember. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to leave my brother and sister there.
I went to school. I went to, just went to 8th grade. Andy? We were neighbors, but we thought nothing of it. Just growing up as neighbors.
Went to Edgecombe. It was a different experience, different kind of weather, and all the kids from different villages. I think at first it was hard to make friends, because right from the village, but a couple of months, you're just like you were at home. Nobody told us we had to pay our own way back, so I spent the summer there. And I went to work they built a new hospital there, but there was a lot of yard work, had to pull stumps and everything, and then stayed that winter going to school and did a lot of activities like wrestling or basketball. That kept us pretty busy. And it was a good experience. I liked Edgecombe. Got to know a lot of friends. I stayed there 2 years, and I went to 8th grade and then came home. My grandma was on her last days, so she passed away half hour after I got there. At least I got to see her. I think my mom and my grandma, I learned more from them than just about anybody else. Never walked by an elder without asking, can I help you in any way, or you need help, and being nice to people and helping people out. Later, I got drafted in the Army. Just maybe 4 or 5 months before I got in the Army, I fell in love. Well, she was my next door neighbor for a long time, growing up, but we didn't pay too much attention to each other. But I know this nice looking girl there. When she came back that next summer, I was in the Army and we got married. September 14th, 1958.
Together after we got married, he was always traveling, working, or traveling for meetings, so I spent a lot of time just, raising the kids. I had to carry water, saw wood, split wood, and then back in them days, I used to cook 3 meals a day for my kids, so I had to, work really fast before it get dark, and on top of that, cook for 18 dogs, and we just had such a hard struggle, and I was a pretty fast worker, then hard worker and fast worker back then. Good exercise.
Every chance I get, I go back, get a job on the boats. I went back on steaming Nana, went down to Marshall and took it all the way to Whitehorse. I got to be a pilot, riverboat pilot, and worked with Dave Walker. We took a boat up the Anoka River to the Iditarod River all the way to the old town of Iditarod and Flat. And then you turn the barge line at fish camp down in the mouth of Yukon. Every year I take 3 boats down and bring them back in the fall. I got on a Taco Chief with Captain Alphonse from Holy Cross, and our trip was up the Kaikok River. We go all the way up to Allakaket and Hog River. And then Old Beaver, name of the boat, Nick DeMento's old boat, brought us down Mud River from Lake Manchiman. It was even hard to get a canoe through that river, it was so crooked. But we got down Katisha and got it to Fairbank, and that was quite a trip. I've been on every major river in the interior of Alaska. Not much money, but I loved it. I liked it.
I was blessed with good kids. They didn't give me any problems raising them. I had visual problems. They knew, and they used to help me in the stores, tell me the price and size and colors and stuff like that. And I do things that every normal woman do at home. And I usually like to sew. I make clothes for my kids. In the wintertime, I make mittens for them and parkas and stuff like that.
We signed up for this relocation program. I was supposed to go to school, supposed to teach us how to live in the cities and everything. That wasn't a very good trip, but I'll tell you about it. My wife and 3 kids went to Denver, and they say they lost my paperwork, and well, they wanted me to wash dishes. I didn't want to wash no dishes. I looked at the newspaper and a job open in the mountains, mining. We went up there and I got hired and told the BIA agent I got a job. And so I start off in debt, trying to get by my work clothes and everything.
In fact, my kids went to sleep before they come home. They had nothing, they didn't eat, and just being new on the job, didn't meet anybody. He made friends with somebody that loaned him a couple dollars, and he came back with a couple hamburgers, and that's one of the hard times that I remember. Yeah.
So I worked in the mine there, hard rock drill machines, working with dynamite every day. And my brother was having a hard time in Los Angeles. He got thrown out of school, and they had 3 kids, so I drove down and got him. So he got odd jobs for all winter. And the next summer, we all got homesick. I bought a 1951 Pontiac. We're going to work our way to Alaska.
Oh, gosh, there was 11 of us in that little car, and we just had to kind of ration our food.
We got to Ogden, Utah. Our first job was picking cherries. The whole family, $1.50 a box.
Going through Canada, we had little money. We were going to take a break and go in this restaurant. They wouldn't let us. I guess Indians weren't allowed in that restaurant. I don't know why we had to leave, but we left. They told us that we had to leave.
We were pretty broke, stayed in campgrounds.
And then when we got to around Northway, I look out the window and then I see the shadow of our car, and I said, hey, we lost our spare tire. We had our spare tire tied on top of the roof. And it seemed like we were going faster and faster the closer we got. And then my husband went over to Indiana and borrowed a boat, and we went home that night. I was happy to be home around my own people. Very happy to be home. Yeah.
Went to work on a cold storage on a haul road, and it was a job opening an oil platform at Kenai, so I took that job. From there, and I heard about Amchitka, they needed some drillers there, Aleutian Islands. They test a couple of bombs there in the 60s, and they were going to test a big one in 1971. Came back, took a job drilling in the Snettisham Dam down at Juneau. And the pipeline started. So I worked there almost through the whole thing. But when we lived in Minto, the old village, the new village, everything was perfect. I mean, everything was good because we're village people.
My husband and I, we go out hunting all the time. In fact, when we would go to fish camps, and even I was visually impaired, I used to run boat from while he set the net. He just tell me right, left. I tell him, you yell at me one time, I'm going to turn this motor off. I'm not touching this motor again. So.
I wanted to build a sled. We didn't have a sled, good one, and so I got the elders. I spent a lot of time with elders, and they tell me what kind of birch to get, and my mom helped me. I used to have a lot of fun with my mother, and so we built a sled. It was easy, so I built another one. And I got some good dogs I wanted to race, and so I want to race the North American. I got on my first North American in 1954, I think it was, and did pretty good. Since then, I got in about 4 other ones. And I raced a full rendezvous 2 times. So my daughter and I and her husband had a kennel in Minto and raced a lot of short races later. And then in 1968, Midnight Sun 600, from Anchorage to Fairbanks. One of my friends won the snow machine in a raffle. So they got all ready. I'd never been on a snow machine before, and it was 60 below. Sunday morning, I found myself going up the Glen Highway, probably around 60 miles an hour. It was fast as it could go. We had to go around cars, and I passed a couple of cars. So I went all the way to Toke, hit a rock, and put a hole in the gas tank. That was the end of my race. So you can say my first snow machine ride went 400 miles in 2 days. A little bit scary, but a lot of fun. And then this guy asked me if I want to race Yukon 800 marathon. The next year I raced with Johnny Anderson's Blue Goose and won it. And later on I got my own boat and did pretty good with that, the DDJ. We have our annual 4th of July race in Minto. My great-grandson was with me, 83 years old, acting like a teenager out there. When I was 18 years old, I got nominated Minto Village Council, and later on, TCC had their annual convention. I got nominated for the E-Board and got elected. I was vice president, but 2 or 3 terms there, and my mother helped me on that one. She said, I want you to lead the people. When they put her on the airplane to go to Fairbanks, she was sick and she didn't make it. At that time, I believe if we had a better communication, better equipment for the health aid, she could have lived a lot longer. So I think in the 80s, I got on the health board. That was where I wanted to be. I was chairman. We started Old Minto Recovery Camp. In the 90s, we started the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, who's running the hospital and all the water. That time we compacted and took over all IHS programs. That made me very happy to see all these changes. Early 2000, I got 4 projects in mind that I wanted to finish while I was chief. A better water line, better water and sewer. We wanted a new clinic, and I wanted to improve the roads and a new hall. One day Chief Peter John told me, we need a new hall. I don't think he said it that way. He said, I want you to get us a new hall. That's what he said. About getting things done, think positive at all times. And unity, working with other people. It's the greatest thing that happened to us on the Alaska Native Health Board, the consortium, TCC. Work together, that's how we build them up.
We have been married for 60 years. We went through hard times and sad times and happy times, but we went through all that together, and that's what helps, like, pretty well balanced. You know, when he has these hard times, I'm up in a high place where I can hold him up, and when I'm down, he's up, and so we help each other out like that, you know. Oh my gosh, we have 11 grandchildren, we got 28, and we got 2 more new great grandbabies coming up. If you ever come around our house on holidays, it's a chaos. We all get together. We are a close-knit family. Our family is. I said, oh my gosh, it's such a good sound to hear my grandkids just playing around there, out there having fun. That just put joy in my heart.
If I have to do it over again, there wouldn't be too many changes. One big change is I drank a lot. I was an alcoholic. If I had to do it over again, when I was standing in front of the altar with my wife saying, I do, if I had to do it over again, I'd quit drinking right there. And my advice, I think, is to young people, alcohol don't help you at all raising a family. And your kids is a gift from heaven. Your grandkids is a big fat bonus. So what's in? Yeah. My grandma used that. So what's in? Unconditional love. Love from heaven.